Hello, BookTube. Well, today's the day, the last day of November. That means it's the last day of NaNoWriMo 2016. This was, for those of you who don't know, National Novel Writing Month happens every year in November, in which tens of thousands of people from all over the world come together with the lunatic goal of writing the first draft of a novel. 50,000 words, 1,667 words per day minimum to get to the end. And today is the last day. Today is the day when we find out in our own circles and on NaNoWriMo and wherever, and even in our own head, we find out who in NaNoWriMo's terminology won. You win NaNoWriMo. If you reach 50,000 words, then you win. And although I typically hate the identity politics, namby-pamby phraseology and mind frame of the 21st century, in which everybody's a winner, in which there are no losers, in which competition itself is a bad name. I hate that. I know young parents in Pittsburgh who have a kid in grade school who has never lost at anything. And he's not alone. None of his classmates have ever lost at anything either. They don't do it that way in his school. I ordinarily hate that. It's certainly a betrayal of your child. It doesn't prepare them for the world they're going to encounter. But also, it's not just a betrayal of them by giving them skewed expectations. It's also a betrayal of them by not teaching them to better themselves. You don't have much of a motivation to win if you can't lose. Or maybe that's just an antiquated mind frame. But anyway, ordinarily, I can't stand eternal validation mind frames like that. But in this case, I actually find myself repeating that kind of terminology because I honestly do believe that everyone who participated in NaNoWriMo won NaNoWriMo. Yes, it's a great feeling to reach 50,000 words, to set that goal for yourself against hell or high water and do it. That's a great feeling. But if you participated in NaNoWriMo but didn't win, if you did 1,000 words a day, 500 words a day, if you have a chunk of writing that you didn't have before, no matter how small it is, in my opinion, you won. Because you did what writers have to do. Creative writers, that is. Not people in my own profession. In my own profession, someone you've never met will email you and say, you can have X number of dollars, you can get me X number of words by X date on the calendar. And that's motivation. That's a few kinds of motivation. One, you want to hear back from this editor, so you know there's a person-to-person motivation. And two is financial. You want the goal, you want the rabbit at the end of the racetrack. So that's not the same thing. That doesn't require motivation. But writing fiction, in the midst of doing all the rest of your life, that is something that even writers who have a 3-book contract still have to make themselves do. That's not an easy muscle to build. And if you worked at NaNoWriMo in the month of November, then you worked on building that muscle. And I think you're owed a severe round of congratulations whether you reached 50,000 words or not. I reached 50,000 words. I got there a couple of days ago, and it was a little bit embarrassing for me because I am a plotter, not a seat of the pantser, and I had plotted my story, Markowitz and the Mystery Woman, for half a year, right down to the installments, right down to the individual segments, the scenes, if you will, that I would write piece by piece. And I thought that I had orchestrated it perfectly in outline form so that I would finish it at 50,000 words, and I did not. I reached 50,000 words, and the story, the 50,000 word story that I want to tell is actually a little longer than 50,000 words, so I'm still going on the NaNoWriMo webpage. I'm still going. But I'm going to stop today. I'm gonna wrap it up today. I think another 1,500 words ought to do it. And then I will have another NaNoWriMo story. And that's a great feeling. That Markowitz and the Mystery Woman has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me. I hit a couple of rough spots. not just personally with a bit of ill health, but also in the story. I hit a couple of rough spots in the story, including one that I can't imagine, with all the plotting and planning I did, I can't imagine I didn't foresee it. And yet I didn't foresee it. And I literally walked right into a wall while I was writing one day. The kind of wall that is horrific because there's no way around it. Usually you hit a wall and there's something you can do to get around it until you can figure out a way to get through it. But in this particular case, I couldn't do it. I had to stop and tear it down. And that's deadly, just deadly for momentum. And it's discouraging in its own right. And managed, against all of that, I managed still to do it, and I will finish it today. And now that NaNoWriMo is all but over, I mean, I'll watch to the very end. But now that it's over, I'm of course extra curious to know what to do next. And last year at this time, if you'd asked me that, I would have said, well, pack it in, be wistful, and wait until next November. Come up with a plot in the meantime, come up with a story, then a plot, then a detailed plot, bore all your friends with it, and then come next November, join NaNoWriMo again. But now I don't know. Now there's AuthorTube here on YouTube, and I don't know if that becomes a solid community of people. Well, then I could write for that. I could come up. I don't want to do it on my own. I don't want to be that guy. Writing a novel out of the drawer of my desk every day. I want a reason. I want a community. And maybe AuthorTube is that community. And if it is, then I would have the joyous prospect of plotting a new book and starting to research it and then eventually getting to work on it. I think that sounds like fun. First, I think I'll give myself the month of December off. I have a raft of deadline work for December, and also I have the raucous Ragnarok of the literary world, my Steve Reads best and worst books of the year for 2016, over on my intergalactically famous book blog, Steve Reads, which always ends up taking up more time than I expect. It's always great fun, but it always ends up being more work to write it all down, get it all organized and whatnot. But in the new year, I think I might like to write something in January, maybe with AuthorTube. So I will start casting around and see if we maybe are going to have, in addition to an AuthorTube YouTube channel, are we going to actually have an AuthorTube community? A writing group, a distant virtual writing group. I think I'd like that. But in the meantime, NaNoWriMo is done. I looked forward to it. I worried that at the last minute I would change my mind and come up with a new story. I didn't do that. Markowitz and the Mystery Woman proved to be a winner. And writing it was a ton of fun. Him, the woman who saves his life, his parents, her parents, the horrible villain of the piece. It was a ton of fun. The kind of fun that a lot of pantsers think plotters don't have, but I did have an enormous amount of fun, and I got to 50,000 words. So that is my NaNoWriMo 2016 wrap up. So I will retire the subject of NaNoWriMo until this time next year. Some of you will be breathing a sigh of relief about that, I would imagine. And I'll be back with videos on other subjects in no time at all. Thank you, BookTube. And once again, to those, my fellow nanos, congratulations, no matter how you did. Thank you.